Good morning, guys. Now that you've gone over some review of some vocabulary from yesterday, we're going to be using models to gather even more evidence about our channel on Mars. So as we go through today, we're keeping in mind two questions. One is our chapter question of how can we gather evidence to figure out what formed the channel on Mars, water or lava? And today's big question is what factors can affect how a channel is formed on Earth? We'll look at some more models to try and figure the answer out to that question. Before we do that, we're going to look at yesterday's model as well and look at what we saw in that. So here's a picture from yesterday's model with that water flowing through this channel that was being created. And here's a picture from the very end once the water stopped flowing. If you remember, one of our questions we were trying to answer is, does the landform remain even after the water stops flowing? We'll get back to that question in a second, but first I want to look at a few really good observations that some sixth graders made during that lab. So you were asked at one part to draw some of your observations, and here are some really good drawings I saw. I really liked Charlene's drawing here because it showed the shape of the channel as it gets thicker near the bottom, kind of moving those sediments out in front of it. She also put in this note here of the channel gets thicker. If you have the option to add some notes to your drawing to help explain what you're putting onto your observation drawing, always a really good idea. So that was a really nice touch by Charlene. Tyra had a really good drawing as well. And one thing I liked about Tyra's drawing, besides the fact that she also showed it getting wider at the end, is that she showed that as the water flowed, it carved deeper and deeper into the middle. This like different coloring of this sand and then the stream in the center makes it look like it's actually getting deeper and deeper right into the middle of the channel there. So I really like that drawing as well, Tyra. And then finally, we have this wonderful artwork by Urelli. Honestly, the shading and everything is awesome. This like belongs in a museum. But what I really like here is that Urelli really showed the shape of that channel forming. It gets wider near the bottom. She also didn't just draw a straight line. She threw in those little curves and things that that channel made, as well as where that water is flowing and how the shape changes near the bottom of it. She also put in that note as well, kind of like Sherilyn did, of what is happening. That water is actually carving into the wet sand. So she's showing me her observation in a picture, but also actually explaining what is happening in words too. So nice work, Urelli. Going back to that question that we had when we started that model, at the end of the model, when there is no more water flowing, do landforms still remain? You can see, and I talked about it with my live classes and saw a lot of your observations as well, that even when there is no more water, the channel is still there. So this could explain how something like a channel on Mars could still be visible and we could still see it and take pictures of it and go to it, even though there's no water flowing through that channel. So it is possible that water could have created that channel on Mars, because even though there's no water on Mars, if there was once water there, we know it could have possibly made a channel similar to that. We're also going to look at a couple other things that could affect the way a channel looks today. You're going to look at two more videos of models. One of them is going to be by the same teacher that you saw yesterday, and she's actually going to continue, but she's going to add an extra question in here of how does the height and steepness of the hill affect the formation of the channel. So we can look at two different comparisons or two different water tables, and all we're going to change about this is the actual height of the top of the hill. If we make it higher, then it's going to be a little bit steeper, and we can see if that changes what the channel looks like when water flows through it. So she's going to only change the height of the hill. Everything else has to stay constant. So the amount of soil, the pressure of the flow, the amount of water, everything else is going to stay the same, so that only the height is affecting the formation of the channel. Once you watch that video, you're going to take some observations and answer some questions about how that height affects the formation of the channel. After that, we're going to go ahead and look at what about a channel made from lava? How is that going to look compared to our channel made from water? So you'll view another model where they're going to use some materials that would more closely represent lava instead of water, something much slower moving, something much thicker, and even something much warmer. And we'll see what happens when we try and make a channel out of lava instead of water. And then at the end, we'll be able to compare these two different types of channels to the channel on Mars, and hopefully we'll get some more information to help us out as we do that. So you're going to go ahead and complete the next couple of sections on those models, and then make sure you submit your exit ticket when you're done.